Hi everyone, I am Farah Manju, a female and kids empowerment coach, and I am the owner of Baraka Coaching and Empowerment based in South Africa on the North Coast. And I empower women and children to become the best versions of themselves, to achieve self-love, self-confidence, and self-esteem. So today I am going to be empowering you on the topic around women abuse, and I'm going to share with you 5 shocking truths about abused women. As abused women come in different shapes and forms, and it's not what we are used to looking at abused women. It's not just about the physical violence and the physical abuse of being beaten up. There are different forms of abuse, and now it comes in the form of emotional abuse and verbal abuse, where there isn't any scars, but the scars are hidden, that is still having a negative impact on women. So I'm here to shed some light around this topic so I can create more awareness, and we can share this knowledge with more women so that they can understand how they are operating in their lives and how they can move forward, moving from victim to self-empowered, feeling more empowered to make better choices, to have the life of their dreams, a happy and fulfilling life filled with success. So I am all about speaking from personal experience. A lot of the knowledge that I share, I've been through this experience of abuse on a personal level in my life as a child and in my first marriage, and also with family members. So I would be speaking from personal experience and on a professional level, because I do work with a lot of abused women who are in abusive marriages and toxic relationships with family. So we are so quick to blame the abuser for making a woman feel like they are a victim of their circumstances, but actually a woman has a choice whether she wants to stay in that circumstance, in that situation, in that relationship, or she can actually choose to walk away. So this pattern of abuse doesn't start in adulthood. It stems way back. It goes way back to childhood. So I'm going to share some, actually 5 shocking truths about abused women, and maybe this would create more awareness around this topic as well. So the first shocking truth about abused women is that they attract abuse into their lives because they haven't really dealt with or addressed the wounds of the past abuse from when they were a child. So abuse in their lives start from childhood, and whether it's like emotional abuse or bullying or physical form of abuse, but it stems way back to them when they were a child. So what happens is, as a young child, you do feel helpless and weak and like you are a victim of your circumstance. And if you haven't addressed that, then in adulthood, that pattern of abuse follows you, and you attract different types of abuse in different situations in your relationships. So if you haven't addressed and healed that initial abuse that took place, it has a way of coming back, and it just follows you, and you attract people in your life that will end up hurting you in that way. So the second shocking truth is about an abused woman is that she does not realize that what she permits, she promotes. So what that means is that if she does not put an end to that abuse and speak up, and she just tolerates it and accepts it, then she's actually allowing that abuse to continue and persist. So when the abuser says to a woman that, you deserve to be treated in this way and you ask for it, what he is saying is that you didn't say anything about it the first time, and therefore he feels he has the right to keep on doing that. So we need to learn to assert ourselves in positive ways and be more confident and stand up for ourselves, having full self-esteem. So we need to say no to any form of mistreatment or any type of abuse the first time it happens. We need to nip it in the bud so that it doesn't continue happening and, we're not tolerating it. Because if you accept it once, it will get worse over time and it will just persist and continue. So that is why people who are, put down and belittled and degraded at a young age, and they go through life attracting people who abuse them emotionally in this way, we find that they become accustomed to disrespect, where they just accept it, and they do not have that, they lack confidence, they do not have the self-esteem and the confidence to stand up for their rights, and they fear being rejected. And there's a great fear of, asserting themselves or saying anything. So the easier option for them would be to keep quiet. But what happens is that people don't value you when you don't value and respect yourself. So the lesson there is to learn how to respect yourself. And when you respect and value you, then others will too. So the third shocking truth about abused women is that they look for love in the wrong places. So we find that abused women usually do not love themselves enough, and they are very in need, they're very needy of love and approval from others. And they often prostitute themselves to get love in return by self-compromising, self-sacrificing, and they'll do anything at all costs to get this love in return. But the dangerous thing about this is, once your abuser has found your weakness and he sees that neediness in you, he can easily manipulate you and use that weakness to his advantage. And that's when people get stuck in this toxic relationship where they feel they cannot pull themselves out of or walk away from. And we don't realize that this type of love that we receive is actually very toxic, negative, and it's conditional, because we tend to people please to get this love in return. So it just creates this vicious cycle of unhappiness, unworthiness, and where you have to people please in order to keep the peace and to get that love. But people are willing to do anything for this negative attention because they just don't love themselves and they don't value who they are. So we need to learn how to value and appreciate ourselves, and also to love ourselves so that we're not in need of love from others. So the fourth shocking truth from about abused women is that they lie to themselves that things are going to get better and that their abuser will eventually change. So this deception stems from their ideal of wanting a perfect family or being a perfect couple. So that's what they are thinking that they will eventually have if they stay, that they will get their dream. But that's just wishful thinking and building castles in the sky. Because there is a negative attachment that is holding you and keeping you stuck in this relationship, that you're not seeing the reality, you're not seeing the situation for what it really is. And the fifth truth about abused women is that they oppress themselves using religious and cultural beliefs to convince themselves and to justify why they should stay in these type of abusive and toxic relationships. So many women have this belief that they must make a home, they have to create this happy home for the sake of their children, especially if they're married with children. So they buy into this belief that, they need to make a home at all costs, and that they can't break a home because there is a social stigma and judgment that is attached to that. So they also buy into religious beliefs that God will be unhappy with them if they split up a family, especially if the perpetrator or the abuser was a family member. So in these two cases, we find that we actually suppress and oppress ourselves, betray ourselves, because we're so worried about other people's opinions and the judgments of society. And also with the religious beliefs, we entrap ourselves in an unhappy and toxic relationship, which has no basis, that it's just a belief that we have bought into. So these are the many reasons why women stay stuck in abusive and toxic relationships, and they keep going back to that negative situation like a wounded soldier, going back to get martyred and slaughtered again. So some of our families are very emotionally abusive, and we find that with in-laws who have daughter-in-laws from a different level of status, they abuse their daughter-in-laws, they mistreat their daughter-in-laws. And what happens, that poor woman doesn't have much support from her own family, and her family and her parents send her right back, and they tell her to work harder in people-pleasing and making her in-laws happy. So this is a trend with many cultures, that we self-compromise and self-sacrifice to keep everybody else happy, and in order not to make the family's name bad, to honor our family name. So we do those things, but at the expense of our own happiness, and it doesn't pay off in the end. So we find that this kind of mentality is a victimhood mentality, and it just creates a vicious cycle of abuse throughout your life. And our kids, our daughters, our granddaughters, our nieces are watching that, and they would think, this is normal. This is how my dad or my uncle or my grandfather treated my mom, and that's, if my husband does it to me, it's fine. And that's how we tolerate abuse, because it's learned behavior. We've watched it, and we've programmed ourselves to become acceptable of it and be tolerant of it. So I just want to share with you very quickly my story of how I removed myself from a toxic relationship. So a few years ago, I would say over a decade ago, I was married into a very abusive situation, my first husband, and I removed myself from that marriage because I could no longer live in denial that this relationship was going anywhere and that it was going to work. And I had to break free from all these social stigmas and all these beliefs that were cultural and religious based. And it took a lot of inner strength and courage to do so. So if I could do that and walk away from a toxic environment, and I had a child, which a lot of people, judge me for, but I'm much happier now. And I found someone better, and now I'm married for over 10 years to somebody that respects me and honors me and truly loves me unconditionally. So it's never too late for you to make those decisions, those hard decisions that are going to shape your future and your life. And it's just a mindset shift for you to believe that you deserve more and that you are worthy of respect, honor, dignity, and love. Unconditional love, not toxic love. So my message to all women is that you are not alone. There is so many women out there that have walked in your shoes and have come out even stronger with the right support and guidance. And just remember that you are worthy of the best life. You are worthy of the respect, the honor, and the dignity that you deserve. And you don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to earn someone's respect or love. If somebody doesn't respect you, they don't deserve you. And most importantly, we need to be setting an example for our daughters because they are watching us. We need to teach our daughters to be confident, to have a positive self-esteem, and to express and assert herself in that moment when somebody's trying to belittle her, bully her, or emotionally abuse her. Because that's where it starts off. The disrespect starts off very small and it just gets worse over time. So we need to educate and empower our youth, our female youth, to be stronger emotionally and able to be vocal and expressive of what we will tolerate and what we will not tolerate. So having said that, you can free yourself from the enchainments of society's expectations and opinions and what you've been raised to believe. You can free yourself from those enchainments and set yourself free from victimhood and feel more empowered to make wiser decisions and choices for your life, because your choices make you or break you. And I'm so happy that I made the choice to choose my happiness over others. So if you are in an abusive relationship, just remember that it's never too late to make that change. Make those positive changes in your life that will have a ripple and positive effect on your children and on the future generation. And if you need support, please reach out to me. I have a lot of personal and professional experience working with abused women, and I would love to offer my support to you. And I help women move from victim to self-empowered. And all you need to move forward in life is to feel stronger and more empowered. So be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like my videos, and comment. And let me know more about what you'd like me to speak on, and I have my link in the caption below. And I'd love to hear from you. Take care. Bye.